Planning and writing is an extremely important step. Get this wrong, and the whole animation is a waste. Get this right, and any imperfections in the animation itself can be forgiven, for the most part. I use a tool called Sketchboard to map out my story. Sketchboard is a mind map tool where you can organize your thoughts visually on a large canvas. I like to spitball a bunch of ideas at once, just start as broad as I can. An entire section of my board is dedicated to coming up with ideas for the next 10 episodes or so. I usually like to make the episodes link together, so it's important that they all fit with each other. For the Minecraft videos, I start by writing down any areas of the game that I haven't explored yet, and I give each idea a section. Then I look at all of them and I write down anything that comes to my mind about any of the ideas. Once I've got a story that feels solid, I'll create a new section on the board just for that story, then I'll flesh it out. My exact method for brainstorming changes every time. Sometimes I just add a ton of boxes, each with a separate idea about the story, and then figure out how to connect them together later. Other times I write a series of bullet points, for example, a box for things to happen, which ignores the chronology of the story and focuses on moments and gags that definitely need to be in the animation, and a box for possible sources of conflict, because every story needs some kind of conflict to make it interesting. Then I take those things and try to string them together in a chronological story in a box called Series of Events. So to recap, I list the things I want to happen, figure out where the conflict is, and then bring it all together in a cohesive plot. What I love about using a mind mapping tool like Sketchboard is that it has more dimensions to work with than a regular text document. A regular text document is like a single line, and you can only group things vertically. With Sketchboard, you can place ideas anywhere on the screen. You can group ideas together and choose where to connect them with other ideas. It allows you to dump everything that's in your head onto a canvas and then organize those thoughts however you wish. Sometimes you find yourself having to pick between two directions to take the story. Using a mind map allows you to draw a separate timeline for each of the ideas and then compare the two. If I chose direction A, I wouldn't be able to do gag X or gag Y. But if I chose direction B, then gag Z wouldn't make sense. So I have to make sacrifices or get creative to fit as many good gags as I can. Here's the mind map for my Dolphin Kingdom animation. I started out by listing main features of the underwater update in Minecraft: bubble beams, dolphins, sea turtles, and guardians. Then I took those pieces and thought of a way to fit as many pieces as I can into a story by writing down ideas in the ideas section. I have a separate section for how to end it, and another section to figure out possible sources of conflict. After that was all done, I wanted to put everything into one solid timeline, so I made a new section called New Plot. Here's the mind map for animation versus Pokemon. As you can see, it looks very different from the other mind map. There was just a lot more to brainstorm with this one. On the left is the main story, with each box being a different event that happens chronologically, and then the rest of it is a bunch of other mini brainstorm sessions to figure out other details, like which Pokemon are in the main character's party, his opponent's party, what exact moves they should have, where he finds them, and how, taking into account how to make that realistic to the game, but also making it entertaining. Writing a story is like solving a puzzle. It has to be good, but everything also has to fit. I ask myself, if I were watching this animation, what's the coolest possible thing that could happen? And I ask that to myself over and over. Then I take all of those cool things and figure out how they can connect in a cohesive plot. I also ask myself early on how I want to end the animation. The ending is very important because it's the taste that remains in the viewer's mouth after watching it. It's the thing that makes them say, "That was good. I want to see more." And then they watch more and they share it with their friends. I will often come up with a story completely based on how I want it to end. So once I've got a story that has a good source of conflict, a great ending, and many solid gags in between, I proceed to the next step, which is making the animatic.